Hi, answers time. Yesterday, what was it yesterday? Day before, I recently did a video, questions and answers. About enough has accumulated for me to make a reasonably sized video. If you have more questions, use the comments of this video to ask more questions. That'll be fine. I'm just going to go from sorting out by, so I'm going to be one of those millennials and just be looking at my phone throughout this exchange and just go through the questions from oldest to newest. Killer Deegan, he carpet bombed the thread with numerous questions, and that's cool. Would you prefer a wife that's into the outdoors? I guess in reference to a couple of videos wives come along with kayaking and such. She's not super keen. I guess it'd be nice if she had an active interest, but then people who know us both, they say we're remarkably similar, and we are. We've kind of grown up together. We're met very young out of school. We've got very similar opinions and beliefs on everything. We like the same stuff, and it's really just our dividing point is out being in the filth, and she likes being more indoors in the clean. So it wouldn't be a big deal if she was, and it's not really a big deal that she's not. So it's all good. It's nice to have a point of difference, and it's nice to have something when I'm sick of all of them to be able to come out and do something here without, it can be my own little world, and it's quite nice when you've got a family and kids and stuff. And yeah, she's got the same thing. When she's sick of me and the kids, she can go off and do her own hobbies and interests. So it's kind of nice. You don't want to be different on too many fronts, but on something as really fundamentally unimportant as a hobby, which is in the grand scheme of things, it's fine. Killer Deegan, why the hell did Brazil get the World Cup and the Olympics within about 12 months? I'm not sure, but whoever their salesman was who pitched those things, all the knife companies should hire them. SOG could get him to convince us all that they're a modern knife maker using cutting edge materials at a reasonable price, because that guy would be a genius at marketing. So I don't know, but that is quite a haul for whoever was in charge of winning those two things. Good job. Can you tell your wife she's doing a nudie run video at 5k subs? I could tell her, but my camera would probably get broken, so it'd probably affect you guys as much as it would affect me. Brightside0208, blink twice if you're in the SAS. Killer Deegan, can you give me your A1? No, I had trouble giving myself that A1. It's quite the trigger pull, funds like that. Killer Deegan, where do you see yourself and this channel in 5, then 10 years? Probably at about 2,000 subscribers in 5 years at the speed that I'm going, maybe 4,000 in 10 years. Next year, my youngest is off at kindy doing things, so I'm not stuck with a newborn all day, and this will lead on to a question someone else asked. Not a newborn, but like you've got a kid at home with you all day, so you sort of need to sneak off. I'll busy her on the trampoline or something, I'll play then walk away kind of thing. Sneak off, do some knife videos. That's kind of how I'm doing it now. When I'm not working, so I work full-time, wife works part-time, so generally one of us has got full-time custody of the kids, and we cross over enough to have a nice relationship, but yeah, so once I've got a little more free time away from my youngest when she's in kidney, that'll give me 2 or 3 days a week to actually, especially when wife's working and we don't just want to hang out all day together, which is always the priority, frankly. But when wife's working, I'll have days of the week, probably a couple of days a week to actually get out there. So that's probably what I'll be doing more of, getting out into the world. However, then I look at the videos and only about 100 people watched my last adventure video, so maybe I'm just not marketing them right. We'll see. I kind of just do what you guys respond the best to as well, because I enjoy all of it, so I'm really not too bothered. The channel will probably just be bouncing along as it is, more than anything. Mick McMahon, Spyderco Mantra or Sage 2. They're both a similar price in Australia. The Spyderco Mantra has better steel and is a flipper, so I'd probably go with the Spyderco Mantra. However, the Sage 2 has a forward finger choil. It's very ergonomic. If you're not that super keen on flippers, then I think either would be a great buy. However, I prefer the Mantra. I think it's got a slightly longer blade, like cutting edge wise, so I'd go the Mantra because they're about the same price. Can you do a nudie run video at 1,000 subs? If you all really want to see that, then maybe. It'd have to be from behind because I don't want to get my my channel banned, so for full runs or cock shots. But yeah, we'll see. Next time I'm out in the wilds, I'll remember it. Where did you buy your rebar from for $49 to $59? That was from a simple man, the question. I bought it for $49 to $59. Depressingly, so this isn't going to help you much, in 2012 or 13 when the Australian dollar and the American dollar were at parity. So there is no way I can really link you to that anymore unless we have a time machine. Killer Deegan, can you give me your Griptilian? I guess refer to the previous answer. The expensive knives, Yeah, I think I actually traded a few things for the Griptilian as well. So that'd be like the leather neck and the first Gerber strong arm. So it's just too much love going into that purchase, I'm afraid. KD. Curtis Stringer, bit of an odd question. How do you think high quality kitchen knives compare to survival / bushcraft knives? I am a chef and own some Shun knives and are just wondering how they would compare. They're always kept in my car, so if I was stranded somewhere, they're the only knives I've had on me. That's a good question. Shun knives, generally clad VG10, Falkniven F1, clad VG10. So really, the same stuff, it's just much, much thinner. The geometry would be crazy to use on things like wooden stuff. You'd probably find yourself plucking that edge all sorts of odd angles, but it would be better than nothing. If you had a full-on big chef's knife, as we see in the news every day, they're fantastic tactical choices because they're the things that everyone's committing their crime with. So yeah, SHTF, and you had your set of kitchen knives. I'd rather be in your car than the guy who didn't have anything. So yeah, the steel should actually hold up fairly well, even to some woodwork, because VG10 isn't super hard and chippy. If you had the really super high-end Shun knives and the Tajiro knives and stuff, which have the white steel and things like that, that gets the Rockwell up really, really high, so you'd probably find it chipping on things like, geez, even rough cardboard and stuff, you'd probably find it's not ideal. However, yeah, with that really thin edge geometry, probably not so good with the higher steels, with the harder, higher end steels, but VG10 clad Shuns, not too bad, I wouldn't think, apart from just being a bit awkward to wield as well. Eureka Nation 1, 3-part question, what's the largest export of Portugal? Geez, well just, and I really haven't read, I've thumbs up all these to sort of acknowledge that I've got the question, but I really haven't read into these. So Portugal, I think I have some, Jesus, what do I have that's made from Portugal? You see it on labels, so I'm guessing it's probably on clothing labels, because you see it on maybe clothing and backpacks. I'm going to check that up afterwards, but that wouldn't be the main export. The main export's probably like, you know, titanium or something, so I don't know. We'll have to learn. I'll have to educate myself. What was the highest grossing movie of 1993? 1993 was the year of Jurassic Park. I would be very surprised if it was anything but Jurassic Park or even Schindler's List. That was the year Spielberg had the two biggies. Probably Jurassic Park. I don't think everyone took their kids to see Schindler's List. That would have raised an odd generation if we all went out and did that. And what knife would you buy if money was no object? Money was no object, I would probably, dear. I'm not that into custom knives. I like to have a knife that everyone else can have. I like to have a sort of, I like to be part of that market rather than the custom market. I'd love a Falkniven Odin or a Thor, one of those really big, expensive Falkniven knives. So there's like $1,000 made of that crazy high-end steel. They're pretty good. Even the Falkniven A2 Pro or A1 Pro, probably pretty nice. They're getting towards 450. Probably a Spyderco Sleesh Bowie or a Spyderco Nirvana. Yeah, that's a tricky one. Or back to reminding of the previous one, I would love to just spend like $2,000 on a set of really good chef's knives and really just take good care of them. So maybe that's it. Not sure. It's a good question. It's probably not. I wouldn't go and just get one, you know, all amazing knife from one custom maker because I just don't have the patience. Versteeg, Carl Versteeg, I'd love one of his Bowie knives. I'm actually somewhat unofficially on his list for him to make me one because he makes big chopper Bowie knives when he's got the time on his hands. So Carl Versteeg, that might be one. That'd probably end up costing about 500 to 600 Australian when that happens eventually. So yeah, good question. Cyclone Outdoors, being from Australia, do you find it annoying having to pander to us Americans? Seems like YouTubers outside the US end up saying something like this much in the US or in inches it's this long in almost every video. I realise that a lot of YouTube audience is outdoor related from the US, but still I'm interested to hear your thoughts. That's a good question as well. So many good questions. I don't mind at all. I look at my analytics, my 75% of my audience is the Americans, so I'm more than happy to oblige for my audience. It doesn't take too long. The pricing always muddles me up because people in Australia are really, really interested on where I get my knives from, and I always just say it's Aussie Knives, Urban Conquest, or just plain old eBay Australian seller. But yeah, so it does cause a bit of confusion, people thinking that when Americans forget that I'm Australian and think I've paid these exorbitant prices for knives, because they translate out to US dollars. What you need to understand is the US dollar, you get, say 100 Australian dollars is like 75 US dollars, but the Australian wage, so the money's all meaningless. Like, but the Australian wage means that we get paid like a little bit more as well. Like our minimum wage is higher than the American minimum wage. It's kind of an inflation thing. Not saying our money is more valuable. It's just in our country, it's about as valuable as it is in your country. Tricky to explain. So that causes some confusion as well, because you get people come up saying, I can't believe you spent, $340 on that Falkniven A1. I can get it here for $210. I'm sure you can if you're in America. So there's that. That doesn't really bother me too much. Happy to do it. All this talk of this everyday adventure, just bemoaning social media policy, which is annoying. I think we should all be able to express our hobbies and opinions and thoughts without our workplaces getting bothered at us, but just avoid the headache, especially some chagrin at that. How did my parents, guardians, raise me to be so bloody sensible about everything? I'm not particularly sensible about everything, I must admit. I have sometimes put a knife purchase on a credit card, which is not sensible at all. I have sometimes sold a knife that I immediately regretted selling. That's flashback to the Gerber Strongarm. Instant regret selling that. And yes, I know I do foolish things all the time. I probably overindulge in alcohol when I have an early shift the next morning sometimes, all those silly things. So I'm not super sensible, but I did have very normal parents. My parents separated, but they were normal, and we've got an aversion to drama in my family, so that's kind of helps as well. When just dramatic people, we've always just been taught to say, you see someone having a little crisis, you just don't let them drag you down. So we kind of move through life, without getting too much bleakness on us. We make sensible choices in life, and you play a long game with your finances, all that sort of stuff. Just basic life lessons we sort of got taught by just the parents, not particularly sitting us down and telling us, but just living by example. And it's good. It's all you can put it down to is just being lucky. You're so lucky who your parents are. You can't control it. You're lucky where you're born. Just a whole bunch of luck, and then remembering that you're lucky, and remembering that you've got good parents, and then giving back to them as well. It's very important. What goes around does seem to come around. I'm not a spiritualist or philosopher or anything like that, but it seems like people who suck, the suck just keeps piling on them. So if you try and be nice, then the nice will come back to you as well. So. Bushcraft Tasmania, having listened to your videos and heard children in the background, other noises, etc., how do you find time to do YouTube videos? He's in a similar situation, family life balance, that sort of thing. And no, it's not drugs. I have energy for this because I'm interested in doing it, and I do it. I squeeze it in. My kids have an ironclad bedtime of like 6 to 6:30. That's a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, so they're gone by 6 to 6:30. Wife's working afternoon shift. That's me time. If we're both at home, that's us time. But enough, she's working afternoon shift, so that's why you often get big drops of videos from me, because I'll sit up in my shed, I'll gather all my thoughts from the things I've been doing lately and put them in video form, so you get a bombardment of knife reviews, all that sort of stuff. I squeeze it in. But you notice I haven't really been getting out much, because that does require a day being set aside. Haven't got time for that. The kids are too small to come with me, because they'd go off and try and pick up snakes and all that sort of stuff that kids do when they're really small and just completely Gumby still. So yeah, I just squeeze it in, I manage. North Florida girl, have you ever travelled to America or any other country? I've travelled to England when I was younger, and that's about all. I'm not a big traveller. Despite having a YouTube channel, I'm somewhat of an introvert. I am not too, this sounds weird, I like my own country, and I'm not a nationalist. I just, I look at the money that people spend on holidays, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I just prefer, if I had 20 grand, I'd spend it on improving my house. I don't know, there's two types of people. There's people that throw caution to the wind, get a loan and go on holiday and max out everything and then pay it off over the next few years, then do it again. And then there's other people that, they just put their money into tangibles, and they probably have less of a adventurous or joyful life, but I get plenty of adventure just in my own backyard, like country and outdoors wise, so not really. If I was really, really rich, I'd travel everywhere, I'd have a look at everything just to check it out, but the internet, I don't even understand why people fly into Continental to have meetings and stuff anymore. You can Skype everything. Like, I know seeing things with your own eyes is different, but I think, travel doesn't, I just don't get it. It's just me, I guess. Does Australia have any traditional knives that are produced there and are part of our history? We're a very young country. Not really is the answer. We've got a very robust custom knife making industry. Like we've got lots of sort of artisan craftsman type. Nauka Knives, he made stuff for Cutlery Lover and Wrangler Star, I think, or Noah Knives, I think his name was. Yeah, there's a few. There's a lot of guys just in their own sheds and stuff. We've got a couple of good axe makers. I can't remember the name escapes me. Like a fencing company, but they make really good axes. But yeah, we don't have like a national knife. We've got like a strong like Aboriginal history, but they were like hunter-gatherer type, so they never did steel or anything like that. And their knives were like bone and ivory, so proper like pre-Bronze Age stuff. So not really. Our probably iconic knife is probably like the big ass Bowie knives, just from association with Crocodile Dundee. But that's about it. So no, unfortunately, we're just a bit young to have that sort of Duke, French knife, Layol, Mercator kind of knife history like that, which is, yeah, this is what it is. We were born, where our country was forged in an age where there was already enough trade to get those things here, so no one really bothered building giant cutlery factories. Australians pissed at the Bart Simpson, this is Eric Holiday, Australians pissed at the Bart Simpson for mooning everyone in that one episode of The Simpsons, and do our toilets really flush backwards? That was a 3-part question. I'll answer the 2 Simpsons parts at once. So that episode is kind of annulled in Australian, fondness, really. Like we just all these quotable things, like, I would have called him Chuz Wuzzers about the cane toads. Going out, the Prime Minister's just sitting on a lake in like an O-ring, and he's like, "Oh, Andy!" Like, it's just funny. Like he'd call the Prime Minister Andy. I really enjoy it. I think most of us just think it's awesome. Do our toilets flush backwards? Our toilets they don't spin at all. It's just a big waterfall deluge of water that just all crashes on and then it's gone. So that's every toilet I've ever used anyway. And do you think you'll ever review a Kaiser Gemini, the real one with titanium S35 and the blue hardware? I came so close to getting that with my recent influx of gear. I've used all my money up for my tax now, but it'll be the next couple of trades away, I think. So yeah, I'm definitely keen on the Kaiser Gemini. Jace McRoby, what do you think about Donald Trump? That's a current topical question, I guess. If anything, he's certainly given the worldwide, and you must understand, like, I know about Donald Trump from what they show us on our TV and internet news and stuff, so I don't care enough to really research and scour the web to form an opinion about him, but he has definitely shaken the political establishment worldwide. All these crusty old parties that are just kind of more prioritising keeping themselves in the job by having really neutral, bland platforms to kind of please everyone. I think it's given them a real kick up the arse. Even here in Australia, we've just recently seen like a lot of the more fringe people from both sides of the left or right flag get spots in the Senate, and I think it's good. I'm not sure how he goes president though. I mean, everyone says it's going to be the end of the world if he becomes president. You hear that stuff, but you got to remember, in America, Congress is your most powerful branch of government, and you all elect your own congressman. So it's all about the congressmen you're electing really do keep the president on a leash. I know he's got veto powers, and I'm not a complete US politics expert, but I know he's below Congress. Congress really run. He has to ask Congress for everything really that's out of the ordinary. I know he can whip Congress with certain members of his team and things, but if he gets in, it's not going to be the end of the world. If he doesn't get in, we'll just probably have a few more years of dry, politics. And, can you fix all of the world's problems in one presidential term, or even America's problems? Probably not. He says some pretty out there things that I don't agree with personally. Like I've got lots of, I think if you're a recent immigrant or something, or you're fond of someone who had immigrated recently, you'd probably find some of the stuff offensive. But I think he's just doing a thing where this just sounds really bad, but I don't think he thinks like a politician. So he kind of just says his opinion of the day when he's asked questions. And part of the problem is the 24-hour news cycle. Just the goal of that cycle is to pin you down to little statements you probably say under a lot of pressure, and then they regurgitate that back to you 7 months later and say, "Well, in this," and that's just the problem. Like the problem is the media. There's right-wing media and there's left-wing media. It doesn't matter. There always has been. The problem is it's on all the time, and they're searching for stories and they're beating stuff up like crazy. They go out on Twitter and see what people. There's journalists who start their day and finish their day looking at what people are saying on Twitter, and that's the saddest thing ever. I think the world as a whole should make the decision, And I know it sounds really like closing off your ears and not listening. We should all just decide, hey, we're just going to look at the news between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. that night, so give us your good stuff, okay? Stop telling us about what Celebrity A is doing. Stop telling us what some slightly hiccupy politician said. You know, it makes little things seem like big things, and the actual big things get drowned. So that's just my little rant. The media is what bothers me most, more than any politician. And it's, yeah, just not impressing me at all. Lastly, Swan Dive, your top 5 favourite horror movies of all time. That's a nice thing to finish on, isn't it? I enjoy horror movies. I'm not sure if you knew that, but I do. I just finished watching Stranger Things. That was a good series, really good, nice 80s vibe to it. Top 5 favourite horror movies. The Sixth Sense is just it's not the scariest horror movie ever, but it's just got it's just so well acted, and you just really feel for all the characters involved, and it has a few really scary scenes as well, really, really good. Geez, I should have really listed this one before I started. I like the Evil Dead movies. They're really, really good. I liked, probably counts as horror, I liked Pan's Labyrinth. That was a good sort of supernatural kind of horror-ish movie. Very, very good. I liked Drag Me to Hell by Sam Raimi. I just loved its crazy, cursed gypsy. I thought that was a really, really good spooky movie. And I liked... I'm running out of things now. They're flooding to me. I liked The Babadook. That was just a really scary movie. It's a real sort of... it's like an analogy into grief. Once you acknowledge it, you can't get rid of it. And it's like The Babadook's the same. Really good movie monster and really creepy movie. Yeah. There's a few really good ones, but I'll stick with those 5. The ones, if you haven't seen all of them, you should really watch them. Yeah. And that'll be all the questions. If you've got any more, flick them down below and I'll answer them next time. See you guys.